and Breakdowns.
Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. I am on episode... Man, Bert's been missing, and I don't keep track of these, but it's 67. 67, and you were so close. Y'all were so close.
I wish it was 69.
Everyone's being... Hey, stop the podcast. Like, we're coming back.
We're coming back.
Today, it's exciting times, man. Today, I got a band that actually I personally discovered within the past year, and it was fucking awesome. But today I have the Dark Divide. What's going on?
What's up, man?
Hello.
Yeah, and then who do I have here first?
Rob, vocals, frontman, whatever.
Craig, guitar.
And from my understanding, y'all are the OGs. Is what I've been hearing.
We are indeed the OGs.
Okay, so I need to know how long has like the Dark Divide been around? Because like it's crazy that it's like slipped under my radar for like a little bit.
Yeah, for sure, man. So we technically like got started in 2019. Like Rob and I have been playing together forever, man.
A
It was
long
like
time.
2010, I think.
I've
is when we
tried
met.
quitting a few times.
Yeah,
I have.
Does it stick?
But we keep coming back together. I don't know what it
reeling
is.
back in. I'm like, fuck this. I'm done with music, and I'm like, hey Rob, what are you doing, bro?
Nothing.
Every time, man.
Like, what else am I gonna do with my
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we started talking about stuff in 2018, and then we reached out to AJ, and I met him on Facebook. Actually, I saw him posting just that he was looking for bands and stuff, and I was like, hey man, what's up? And I came out and jammed with him and watched him play with, I believe it was Rabid Flesh Eaters at the time. And he was just badass, man. I'm like, well, you're my forever drummer, so we're doing this.
You're coming home with me.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and now everyone else is trying to get him. Stay away.
And now he is the hottest commodity
Yeah.
in DFW, let me tell you what.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we started that, and then we had a bit of a brief pause where we were trying to like write and put things together and find the right members and everything. And then like in 2019, I talked to Eric, and he was like, yeah, man, I'm on board with that. So we got together, we practiced, and everything just clicked like perfect. And we were like, hell yeah, let's get this going. So we practiced up. We ended up getting touring on the recommendation of a buddy of ours, Brim, good promoter here in DFW. Check his stuff out, Coven Underground. And yeah, our first show was like in September, I think September 9th or something, at J&J's basement.
Oh,
before it closed
J&J's.
down.
All right,
Pizza.
J&J's.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
It was actually pretty dope. It was pretty fun.
It was
Yeah,
cool.
I
It was a
liked
good show, but we were kind of just trying to like see how the chemistry was going to be for our first live thing. We didn't really invite anybody. We were like, well, let's get set up and see like how we're going to do and stuff. And it was awesome, man. I think everybody was kind of in from there. So yeah, 2019 about.
2019 is kind of
Yeah,
when
about the
okay,
start
so it's so relatively like newer. So
Yeah.
how was that like starting in 2019, kind of getting going with the show, and then like
And
the
then it
pandemic
dropped
hit?
off.
Yeah,
That sucked because I think the whole pandy, we really didn't do much of anything.
the pandy.
Yeah, we didn't really get
Nothing.
together. We didn't do anything at all.
Yeah.
So we didn't really come back to 21. I
Yeah,
think.
exactly. 2020, yeah, that shit was rough, man. I could not get motivated to do anything. Like, I think it probably felt like that for all of us, but I mean, you couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't meet. What were we gonna do? You
Yeah.
know? So like, I should have been writing music. I should have been like working on promos and stuff, but I didn't.
We should have done something. We didn't do anything at all.
Literally anything,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we basically that year was gone, so like
Yeah.
you can't even really count that. But we kind of started back up in like February of 2021, and got back together, got tight, got playing shows again, and been going since then.
Then we
So-
tracked our album Variant.
Oh, yes.
By ourselves.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, we did everything by ourselves. It was all
cool.
in house. Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
We tracked everything separately at individuals' house, put it together, tore and mixed everything up. And
Yep.
we did it all on our own. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
what took us a long time.
So
to fucking-
it's mixed and mastered by us.
Everything was all us.
100% done.
Yo,
by
what
us.
the
DIY all
fuck?
the way. Yeah, we're stupid. Because it took way too long. Yeah. So,
that's
but it was
That's
cool.
the battle though. Like it's cool because you can do it in house, and you're like, hey, we don't have to go anywhere. But yes, logistically, sometimes it just like takes a lot longer
took
to
a
get
lot
it down
longer,
that way. But I mean, you learn a bunch of cool shit. I'm
Yeah.
sure,
Oh,
yeah,
like
100%.
along the way. You said is Torrin the
yeah, so
mixing?
Torrens, he's our synth and vocal player. And synth player and slash whatever the fuck. But anyway, yeah, he didn't
Plays
even
them vocals.
Yeah, he taught himself how to like mix and all that stuff. Like during the pandy. So
he got to work.
yeah, he got to work, and he did really well.
Yeah, he
really
did
quick,
something
so.
productive during 2020.
Yeah.
We didn't, but he did.
We just kind of waited around, like, yeah, let me know when you're done, dude.
Yeah. Here's all our stuff, so let me know when it's done.
Yeah, that's pretty much how that went. But
Yeah.
it was pretty cool.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think actually I spoke to Torin first out of everybody in the band. Well, no, actually not. Besides AJ, I met AJ at.
Shocking.
Actually, AJ came
Yeah,
up
I know.
to me at like, and I felt so bad because like he came up to me. He's like. He was like, "Hey, like, what's up?" Blah, blah. And it was at Big Rob's. I remember.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Oh, like, what's up?" And he was like, "Yeah, like, we're playing one of your shows." And I'm like, "DJ books like Daniel's the one that does like a lot of the booking."
Yeah.
Does
I
all
handed
the
him a
booking.
flyer.
Yeah. And I'm like,
I had the flyer. And I was like, you'd like this show. Or something.
yeah. He
No
was
shit,
like,
it's
"You like
mine."
this show?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Maybe." And I'm like, I know this flyer. I was like, wait, this is our show. It's like,
Yeah.
wait, I was like, which band are you playing? And I'm like, trying to get to him. I'm like, damn, I should have known all this stuff already.
Right.
I felt bad, but yeah, I talked to Torin at one of our other shows at Ridgely. This was at Ridgely.
Oh, okay.
Ridgely Room.
The
And
inside
that's
show.
the first time. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
first time that was the show I think the flyer was for.
Nice.
And that's the first time I saw Torin on the synth, and it's been a minute since I've seen somebody actually playing the synth.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not just like a backtrack or whatever.
100%,
And it was so fucking sick. And
Yeah,
then like
yeah.
and then him doing like vocals like back and forth. I'm like, this is fucking cool. Like I was just like, I go, this is badass. And like this
Yeah.
is being like placed into a band and like being done so well. Like
Yeah.
it's not. I don't know. It just meshes really well with the rest of the music. Like it goes with it. It doesn't feel out of place. Like it actually
Yeah.
looks like it was integrated like really nicely. So that's
Nice.
a really cool thing that I get from, especially that being like my first experience was a live performance and it was fucking sick. Which is like always like my favorite way to see bands like for the first time.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Because it's like whatever expectations what's being played actually like here and it was I fucking loved it like ever since then. I went and listened to the album and I'm like, which sounds fucking great, and now knowing that it was all in house, that's even like fucking
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's badass.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Was that like the sound that you were going for originally? I know Torin joined later.
Sure.
Was it something that like parts for like the synth was added into the music that you currently were writing, or
Yeah.
did you kind of start from scratch with it?
So there was always synth present. Like I play also, not as well as he does,
Mm-hmm.
but I've like the whole thing for this band was like obviously we're like cyberpunk oriented and stuff, and like I listen to a lot of stuff like Keith Merrow and Paul Wardingham, so I like that like cyber metal sound, and I was
Okay.
like, I want to do something like that, and I want something that's like you said, like with a live synthist or keys player and stuff
Yeah.
like that, because it's awesome, and nobody does that stuff anymore, and it just
No.
sounds so good and so full. So I mean, I had stuff that I had written for it, and Torin like blew that out of the water. He came in, he was like, "Well, I can do this." And I'm like, "Yeah, do that." So it was written initially like with synth in
Cool,
mind,
okay.
but yeah, it changed and grew from there.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, because it's definitely something that I feel like there wasn't an era where like everybody was doing it, and then like it kind of disappeared out of like
Sure.
stuff, and I'm just like, man, I always enjoyed that, especially like I said, having an actual live synth player, and you hear
Right.
like you hear stuff with like people like who have backtracks and stuff, but having an actual like that's one of the members in the band that's
Yeah.
actually like part of it, and it's part of the creative process. Because like even like when I used to like play in a band, we added like some synth stuff and things, not as prevalent as like that. It was just like for like the kind of like the ambient like parts.
Yeah.
But it wasn't us writing them. It was like whoever was helping us record or whatever.
Sure,
so
sure.
I always felt like I was like, oh, it's still like not us writing that. So it felt a little weird. But that's cool that you have like someone actually like. And then I mean
Yeah.
now knowing that you do it too, that kind of has that vision in place. It's like, oh
Definitely,
no, we're writing music like to sound like this, and
For
it
sure.
sounds sick as hell.
Thank you, man.
So 2019 started, then got Pandy came around,
Yeah.
and then 2021 he kind of started back up, and then y'all have been playing a little bit, like especially over the last year or so. How's like your live experience been like since starting the band?
I mean, it's been pretty awesome, really. Like I said, obviously we took that year off, so again, I don't really count that. But in 2021, we came out swinging pretty hard, and I mean, really, we've just been trying to play like not as much as we can, but like basically wherever we think it'll make
We
most of
try
the
to
impact.
spread shows out.
Yeah.
We don't want to play too much in one area, every weekend around DFW, which we kind of did at first.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
like, that's stupid.
Yeah,
so
we're
like
like, we
we
shouldn't be
spread
doing this.
everything out way further. Like this weekend, we're going to Abilene, because it's like 3 hours away. It's
Yeah.
not in DFW, and we've been there once.
Yeah.
It was a pretty cool little turnout, but yeah, we try not to like oversaturate the same market.
Yeah.
And also, we all have jobs, man. We're all
Yeah.
busy,
Yeah.
so we can't play every single weekend. And it's more my fault than anyone else because I'm the busiest.
Yeah.
And like for me to play shows, I gotta be like, I'm sick. I can't go to work. Let's not talk about that. I'm sick right now. That's why.
You just
So-
happen to get sick during the
yeah,
shift, and
yeah.
then you miraculously recover,
Yeah,
right?
fuck,
It's
I'll
right,
be-
in,
bro.
right.
That's right. I'll feel better after we're done. But
Exactly.
yeah, so we try not to play too much, but
Yeah.
enough that people kind of know who we are. But it's hard to do.
Oh, yeah,
But
100%.
There's so many good bands around here and so many shows going on that we kind of get. I feel like sometimes we get lost in the shuffle. I'm like, fuck, man, now we got to play so they know who we are. Because you didn't see us
Yeah.
till what, January, right, of this year?
Yeah.
The merch shop? Or was it the
No,
inside show?
that was the inside show. so
Okay,
that was
okay.
December. Yeah, that was the
Okay,
first time
cool.
that I had seen you.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we do fit a lot of stuff, but we also don't. We're like kind of a weird little our own entity within
Yeah.
like the DFW
Yeah.
metal scene because there's a lot of like traditional metal stuff here and a lot of like southern rock stuff here. But I don't know, man. We kind of like I think we're a lot different than a lot of that stuff.
They're
So
like, where do we fit in? I
yeah,
don't
so
know.
sometimes we'll be on a bill and like, oh man, okay, no one sounds like this. So,
Yeah.
So
hope
do you
they
think-
enjoy us.
Do you think that's more like a hindrance, or do you think it's like it benefits you? Because you're talking about like
Sure.
like standing out of stuff.
Sure.
So that's the kind of a card you have automatically just because no one else is doing stuff like that.
Yeah,
and so you have
100%.
you have an automatic thing that's like,
Yeah.
holy shit, like what is that, like, and people remember that, like that's
Right.
that's the biggest part, at least. And I'm not generalizing over it, but for me it's like who am I gonna remember like when I'm going home, or who like
Yeah.
purposely like am I going to want to look up like when I get home or in the car or whatever, you know what I mean?
definitely.
So stuff like that, and again, live performance is the way you can do it, the
Yeah.
most direct way that you can do it, because like everything with like online, like even dropping songs and like online content and stuff like that, it helps, but like I think the direct way, like live in person, is the easiest way to make like connections with people.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
that's
yeah,
why,
there's nothing like seeing somebody live and actually being able to talk and like connect over like music or just different interests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean that's definitely the way to get out to people.
I think we do better with that, with the live thing and like interacting, especially AJ. He's like so lovable. Everybody wants to come up to him. And he's like, "Hey, how are you? Hi, how's it going?"
Hey, that's a good AJ. That's an AJ impression.
So, yeah, it's like, "Hey, how are you?" But the like online content and
Yeah.
presence, we absolutely suck at. Like, we suck at. I think so. Like here lately, we're trying to make more of like a conscious effort to like put content out.
Yeah.
Because we did that little run with Third and Delaware. I'll
Yeah.
name drop them, even though they didn't name drop us. We ran with shots fired. Shots fired. Yeah. So yeah, we did a little run with them, and then that's when I was like, oh, we got to put content out all the time, not just rely on the live show.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to make that an effort like here recently, but
Definitely, yeah.
we do like the live stuff. I think we do better at.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
then people can come up to us and like we hang out and make a connection with or whatever.
Yeah, the content stuff is interesting, and it's a conversation I've been having with like a lot of bands, because it's on the newer side of like music,
Yeah.
I guess, and it seems to be like a thing that you have to be involved with like now and figure out how to do it, and then like for the most part, initially like it feels like. I don't know, the biggest pain like ever is like, oh, now I'm worried about music, and I'm worried.
man.
Yes,
It's
like
so
to-
time
to
consuming.
much
create
so.
like one like little post, like it takes like a little
Yeah.
bit, you know what I mean? And that's just like a simple thing. Now, if you're posting every day or posting as many times as like people recommend to post, I'm like, dude, you don't have time for anything else.
I'm
Like,
running out of
what?
shit to say.
Yeah.
What else do I say? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's-
me again. We're still playing that show. Come on.
I know I told you yesterday,
Right.
and twice today already, but
Yeah.
like,
Please come see us.
yeah, 100%.
It's I think the most important like part in that is figuring out what's the most like genuine way for you to do it.
Yep.
Because I've seen like where every artist on TikTok is doing like the exact same like trend or whatever, stuff like that. And
somebody finds something that works,
and it works for them, and then they just think,
yeah.
oh, it worked for them. Let me do this and that. And it's cool to get like starting points and like jumping off points, but like you'll have to find something that fits like your mold and like what creates. I think for me, like the way I look at it, it's like how do you create that connection that you can easily get at a live show, or like that where like, oh, you meet in person and you have a conversation, and that's like, how do you create that sort of connection online when there's a shit ton of separation with all this?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, online doesn't exist really. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like it's not real life. Like everybody lives on there, but I mean, it's just like you can talk shit to somebody online and it doesn't mean anything, but like you do it in public, you're gonna get hit in the face. Probably. It's like a whole different ball game on there. So like you said, it's very, very difficult to make connections that way. And I mean, really, all you have is like comments back and forth. You know, it's like somebody will comment something like, "Oh, hey man, thanks," or like try to strike up a conversation that way, and hopefully get them to like come to a live show to where you can make a real connection.
Which is like, how do you translate? So that's like one thing. Even like with NoiseROT, we've been booking shows and stuff like that. That's like where I've been trying to figure out. It's like, okay, how do we like translate? Like, I know if you get to the show, you're gonna have a great time, but how do I get you to a show?
Precisely.
So one of the biggest, one of the hardest ones that I had was, and I couldn't figure it out, but there's a band we just brought called Luluwingen. They're a band from Tokyo, Japan.
Gotcha.
They on their songs, on their live videos, it looks crazy. Like it looks just random. Like I remember listening to them. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy this, like, or whatever. But I'm like, whatever. They're coming by. We'll figure it out. It's one of the funnest times live.
Nice.
And I'm like, but there's no. I was like, how do I? And I was telling my friend because we were like excited, like when they came back and they played, they're amazing. And I'm just like, there's no way for me to explain that to somebody without them coming to the show. Like there's no like. I was so figuring out like, oh, how do you translate something online, or how do I get people to like to come out to shows and like this? I'm like, I know if you'll come by, you're gonna have fun, like you know. So it's how to figure out, like I said, that disconnect, like you know, the separation between like, hey, you might enjoy this, but you are over here, you don't notice until you're like there. So just trying to get more people to come out to shows, or trying to get people to listen to music, you know, with people's attention spans and stuff like that, because everything is set you up to like, hey, first 10 seconds, or not even, I don't even know how long people stay on stuff. I know there's probably like studies and stuff like that, but like how long someone stays on something before just flipping, because that's how easy they made it. It's like, oh, you can scroll past by anything like very quickly.
Yeah, I want to say it's like 3 to 5 or somewhere around in that vicinity.
Probably,
unless it's something that really like grips you, or is like clickbaity.
Yeah,
you kind of wait for a little longer, but
and then stuff like you find stuff that like just immediately puts you off. And like, nope, I'm skipping that. Like I'm not like watching this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, trying to figure that out as a musician. I like initially like was really standoffish from like social media, because I'm just like, for the purpose of like, you know, helping my music career or whatever.
Right.
Because I'm like, I don't want to fucking think about that. Like I just want to write music and play fucking shows.
Oh yeah,
and
exactly.
like,
sure.
But it has become something like very essential, like to help you, you know, just even get more like ears on your music. That's if the plain and simple like goal is just like get more people to listen to you. Yeah, it's a tool.
Right.
It's just figuring out kind of how to use it for yourself. You were talking about comments. Like, have y'all had any problems with like that going back and forth with like people, like anybody talking shit like to y'all?
I don't think really in particular.
Good.
Thankfully,
we don't post enough to get shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe when we start posting more, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, maybe. But I don't know. I think live, nobody really wants to say anything to us unless it's like touring by himself.
Yeah,
he's had a couple of like
he'll get caught off.
Yeah, he's had people.
Really?
Yeah, at shows he's had people fuck with him, like when he's separated from everybody else.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. And then like he'll come up to me and say something after the show. I'm like, why didn't you tell me, man? I would have been like, what you talking about doing? You know, I'd have done something about it. Yeah. But other than that, no, we don't really get any.
That's so weird. I find that it's so fucking strange. Like, yeah, like it's shit like that. Like always, like baffles like my mind. I don't know if I'm just like getting older. I'm like, that's just too much energy. Like to like wait, like to talk shit. Like I'm like, no, like I'm getting too old. Yeah, like I'm
I don't care.
People are like, why are you like? He's like, you're so nice and peaceful. Like I just don't like spending energy on talking shit. Like I can just not like something and not say anything about it. Like it's pretty easy. Like but yeah, like to get in people's faces and like, and wait, that's fucking pussy shit. I'm sorry. Like if you're
For sure.
fucking like
100%.
waiting for like someone to be alone to go talk shit about them because you're fucking scared of the rest of their band. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Like you're just a little bitch.
Yep.
You little bitch.
Little bitches.
Not everybody. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's good that you haven't dealt with like that so much, like in online and stuff like that. Because I mean, eventually it's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%,
Like it just comes with everything. I remember when we announced our Chill Sounds and Breakdowns lineup last year. Somebody made an account immediately to comment. I think they comment mid and cringe. And then, like, I, like, screenshot it, and I'm like, yes, we got a hate comment. I was so excited. I was like, yes!
We made it, boys.
And then, like, I looked it up, and they immediately, like, deleted it. I'm like, yeah, we're doing some cool shit. I was like, someone created an account just to do that. I go, that took effort.
And that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Like, it's not real, man. It's like
Yeah.
people doing this stupid burner account shit. You know, it's like it's
Yeah.
not real life. It's like somebody just wants to be an asshole for the sake of being an asshole.
Yeah, and I guess, yeah. I mean, with the internet, it was just gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I mean,
You
it's
gotta
been
take the good with
happening
the bad,
like
yeah.
forever. So yeah, like I think the biggest thing is just not to really engage or I always engage because like it's funny to me, but like
Yeah.
I always like so like, I think I post like singing videos like all the time and
Yeah.
like. They're like not give a fuck singing videos, so I'm just having fun. I want to sing something today, blah blah. And I'm like, someone was like, oh, like try staying in pitch, and I'm like, yeah, I try that sometimes. It just doesn't work, you know. Like, or like, and I just like comment like to everything back, and
Sure.
then no one ever comments back, you know, what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like dumb shit.
Yeah.
But it's real funny. Again, that's on a small scale, so I don't know what it feels like for the people who get it. Like that's all they fucking
yeah.
see, and then like it escalates. People fucking see some wild shit online because. You're right. You're not face to face. You can't get your fucking can't get your ass beat online.
I'll be honest, I couldn't handle that. I would be the type, I have to not read the comments.
Yeah.
Because if they're talking shit, it's going to eat at me. And I'm going to be at work like, motherfucker. How dare they say I wasn't in pitch, man? Let me find that motherfucker.
Where's he live?
Yeah, I'm going to write a song about you, and it's going to be really mean.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really.
You're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. Well,
I
I
gotta
think,
stay away.
yeah, I like that idea of just writing songs like for people to talk shit. You know who actually who did it? Which it's AJ, the band that you just joined. Dispo did it like one time. Like I can't remember the name of the song.
Which song?
It's
I know what you're talking about. They're all like
yeah.
online talking shit.
Yeah. I can't remember what the name of the song is, but that was specifically towards a person, and I know who the person is, and I'm like, I love how petty
you know the
that is.
person?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Damn.
I love how petty that is. I'm like, when I found out, I'm like, yes. I was like, fucking great. Yes, that song directed just at one person. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking cool. Like, it was a great time.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to do that. The whole next album. I'm just going to talk shit to individuals.
There you go.
just pick,
Yeah.
just pick.
Yeah, I'm going to name
10
the song.
12 people, just like
one by one.
it's just the name of the person.
Yeah, this song's called Brian. Son of a bitch.
Brian Smith.
Yeah, Brian
Columbus,
Smith.
Ohio.
Yeah.
The whole song is their whole like fucking information, their address and everything.
Doxing people, dude.
It's like, I know where
6
you live.
foot tall with 1 tooth out, motherfucker. Really, like, intense.
Damn, who's Ryan?
Yo, you good?
Really got it out for Brian, bro.
All the
Yeah.
Brian's like, oh shit, is that
Like, shit, did I do something?
Yeah.
He's like, no, I got two tools.
Yeah.
No, I got you.
I got two of them.
I got 2 teeth. Yeah. Tell me.
Couldn't be me.
Wouldn't need be. So with songs, so you have two vocalists. Do you both work together to write like lyrics, or do you like both come with like your individual parts?
So, the way that kind of came about, so Torn has been a frontman in other projects.
Mm-hmm.
So when he joined up, I was doing everything. I was doing all the cleans and all the screams. And Torn was doing the synths, and he's like, hey, you know, I was aware that he was a frontman that could sing and all that too. So I was like, hey, you want to like split it up? You know, you could do some of the cleans and we'll go back and forth. And he could also scream, and I could do it. I attempt to sing, but I could scream too. So we kind of do like a little bit of both back and forth. But for the writing on all the stuff that's on Variant, I wrote everything on that, came up with the melodies for the most part. I think A Life of Regret, he kind of changed the melody to that, which I was grateful for because he came out pretty sick. But a lot of the time, me and him, I think, communicate the most out of the band. We're always constantly talking to each other and bouncing ideas off each other. We'll toss lyrics out, and I'm like, here's my idea for the melody, and then be like, oh, that's cool, but what about this? And then I'm like, I like mine better, but if that's what you like, no, we'll go with that. But yeah, it's kind of becoming more of a split between us.
A split. Oh,
Yeah.
now, but
Like
everything on the album was
it was
yours.
just pretty much all me. The newest song we have that's mixed right now that we're going to release was an all Torn song. He wrote, he wrote all the instruments, wrote the lyrics. Well, he handed me this lyrics. He's like, here's the lyrics for it. I was like, all right, well, what's like your vocal melody? What's the pattern? He's like, I don't know.
just had lyrics.
Yeah, he's like, here's the lyrics. So I was like, okay. So I had to just like piece everything together, and I had to like cut some stuff off and switch words and stuff, because I like with my screams, I really focus on just like vocal patterns. So like I'll look at his like I don't write that way. He writes all his lyrics first and puts it to the song.
Interesting.
I gotta hear the song, and then I'm on repeat. I'm like, okay, there's one word. Okay, cool. Let me add to that. And I gotta start piecing it together that way. He does not. He has all the lyrics first, and then he fits it to the song. I don't know how the fuck he does that.
Interesting.
But I had to do that with this song, with his lyrics. So, and like live, I guess because I didn't write it, I always fuck it up. I'll get lost in it. I'm like, shit, that's this other part. Because I'm singing his stuff. But yeah, I had to piece that together. And then like he had the idea for the chorus melody.
Okay.
Like I kind of gave, here's what I thought. He's like, yeah, that's cool, but it was one of those situations.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we'll do yours.
Yeah.
Because it's your song anyway. But yeah. But that's how the newest one's gone. And then like other stuff, normally I'll write everything out and like, what do you think? And then he'll change it probably.
He'll change it.
Yeah. So.
That's it. I mean, it's really cool to like hear, because like with the more like bands I talk to, that it's a lot common. So I write when I write the way you write. So I'll hear it and be like, I was like, we'll figure out what the song's about like when it loops a million times in my head, and like and I pull. It's always like a word or two,
and it's always different. Sometimes I'll start with the melody. Sometimes I'll start with screams.
Yeah.
It just
it just depends on what. But I used to manage like screams. I would focus on cadence first. I'm like what rhythm do I want, and then I'd figure out what words fit into that. Once I knew like the theme of whatever song I was singing. But yeah, writing it first and then putting it to music sounds
hard.
It sounds really fucking hard.
When he told me that's how he did it, I was like, "You're joking." No. He's like, "I've got all these lyrics. I could just put it on to whatever." I'm like, "I can't do that. That's fucking weird."
Yeah, that is interesting, especially without any like indication towards melody or anything.
Right.
Like, that seems really difficult. I get like having like the words written, like knowing what you want to say, or maybe. But still fitting that stuff to something without a melody, it seems really difficult to me, because I always figure out, again, the way stuff is gonna go, the way a melody is, and the way like a cadence is and stuff, and then be like, oh, okay, then I'll figure out words later, because to me that's the way it makes sense. But that's the cool thing about working with other people, and especially like when they're in your own band that push you to do something that it's like that's not the way you work, but now like it pushed you to do something you were uncomfortable with, and then you create something new that you maybe that's not the way you would have written it different, and you come out with a really cool like song, which is what's nice about having bands that are all like everybody's writing in it, or you have multiple writers, because more than likely at one point someone's going to get pushed to do something that they are uncomfortable with, or it's not something that they've written before. I've had that instance. We have a song. We have, like, we're still the band. So we used to have a song, it was called Jailbreaker, and this song was written, like, and immediately I was like, I'm not going to be able to write to this shit, like, at all. Like, I was just like, it's completely, like, out of my wheelhouse.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay. And it took me forever. And then when I finally, like, got to and figured it out and, like, cracked it, I'm like, we wrote something that was cool. And I'm just like, you know what? I wouldn't even have attempted that, you know, if it wasn't for, like, my bandmate who, like, wrote the guitar riff and everything was like, he's like, well, just try it, like, just see what comes out. And it came out something that I wouldn't normally write, but it came out cool, and it pushed me to now have that skill to add it onto, like, other songs and things like that. But it was really neat, and it's frustrating as fuck, because I'm like, I don't want to do it this way, like, or I'm not used to this way. But if those people are in your band and are pushing you to do that, like I said, at the end of the day, like, your bandmates are just want to write a cool shit, like, just want to write cool music. And if they push you, or like I said, in some stuff where you're like, oh, I wrote this melody, and they're like, oh, I like this one better, shit's gonna happen, you know what I mean? And then you'll the point is, I think for me, it's like, give both of them a shot, and it's like, and see which one's gonna sound better. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. You gotta be able to put your ego in check a little bit because
Younger me would
tough.
not have gone
No,
with that.
fuck
My
that.
ego was so high, I'm like, it's my way or get the fuck out. You know? But now I think a collaboration's like imperative to like getting better, you know? So I love bouncing ideas off. I'll bounce ideas off of other vocalists of other bands. I talk to Richie from Third and Delaware all the time. Because he's like really good with like vocal melodies and shit like that and harmonies, and I don't know shit about harmonies. Man. I just wing it, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll bounce ideas off him. He's like, yeah, that'd be cool, but you know, you should try this. And I'm like, fuck, that's way better than that. You know?
Damn you.
Yeah, damn it. Can I be in Third and Delaware too? Eric?
That's 3 Third and Delaware name
I
drops.
know.
Ain't?
Well,
How many times a day name drop, y'all?
never. Zero. They have our bass player in the band. They don't even name drop us.
And soon they're drunk now.
Soon they're drunk.
And
Injuries and everything.
Gamma, they coming for you.
Got it.
It's all right. We'll get Gama to play with us.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah, but I think that's a really cool thing. And even like I said, like you when you started saying that you talk to other vocalists and stuff like that, it really does like open you up to seeing just how different a song can be written. I've mentioned like stories where I've like sat into other people's like writing sessions or their things, and I'll be listening to the song and I'm like, this is what I would write, and then they write something completely like way the fuck different, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck is your brain doing?
Yeah.
And then just seeing people create like like again, my process was like, oh, let me hear the song, let me fucking memorize it, and then like I'll start adding stuff to it. I have a friend who I sat into his session, and he raps, and I'm like, he came in with like 3 or 4 like different beats, and I'm like, oh, okay, he'll probably like just get some ideas like down. He wrote all 4 of those songs in that sitting, and I'm like, oh, you had them when you came in, like their lyrics? And he's like, no. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? I go, so everything you came up with that I just heard, like you just came up with? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, yeah. I was like, damn it, like it takes me fucking 3 to 5 business weeks to get you something.
Yeah.
And then it's not good. Like,
Right, yeah.
I go, just you gotta let me work.
Yeah.
Give me some time, man.
Shit. Yeah, I'm having that right now. Like they just sent me some stuff over, and I was like, oh, this is really good. And I'm like, I sat on it for like a week. I think it's been a week or 2 now, and I'm like, I have nothing.
Sometimes
and I
it's
love
like
this
that,
shit.
man.
Like it's funny because like the instrumental, I'm like, oh, dude, I go, this is fucking sick. I love this, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I can't think of anything at the moment.
Yeah.
Like there's like you can knock and it's hollow in there right now. Like lyric wise, I'm like, I don't know what to talk about.
See, I can come up with like cadences and melodies, and then sometimes the hardest part is like, what do I even want to sing about? What should this song be about? I have no idea. And I've got to wait for something to like spark some kind of like inspiration for me. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's fucked up. I'm going to write about that. And then here we go. And then I can knock the song out real quick. But
Do you have a normal like theme of like stuff that you normally write about?
No.
No?
No. It's just like a lot of stuff's like, man, like in Human, the music video we got. I was just like, you know what? Society fucking sucks right now. Everyone treats each other like shit. And I just wrote that whole song about that. A sea of hatred will drown us all. That's the opening lyrics in that song.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like so hateful to each other,
Yeah.
man. It's terrible. So it's a lot of that like observation stuff, you know. I can just see something on the news or watch like Skinwalker Ranch. We got a song called Skinwalker that I'm about to write about. Because I was watching that show and I was like, no shit, there's skinwalkers? And I like wrote the whole song about that, man. Just like,
oh shit,
give me. Yeah. Yeah,
It just hits sometimes.
I even use like some Navajo, what they call a skinwalker is Yinaldushii. That's in the song. I was like, that's cool as shit. I'm gonna put that in there. Yeah, so I'm like speaking Navajo in that damn song. I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's in there. I had to look it up. Like, how do you say this? And push the button. I was like, all right, that'll fit. I'll use that.
Push the button went on Google.
Yeah, just use the AI audio of
Thanks,
it.
Siri.
Yeah, thanks, Siri.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, so it's just whatever, man. Whatever just sparks me at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the cool thing about music is just that you can write about whatever, and it's whatever your take is on again everyday things that are going on. What's actually like triggering like an emotional like reaction to something, and that's normally like what is the easiest thing to write about, and it's the best way to like to convey that emotion, to come across through in lyrics, in like vocal performances, in just the music in general. Is a really like cool, intense stuff like to write about, like whatever like triggers like those strong emotions, like whether it's like hatred, just anger, or like sadness, which is I'm like I I always laugh and make the joke, and I'm like, dude, my favorite songs are all these like fucking sad ass songs. Like, I don't think I know a happy song that it's like, I'm like, this is a fucking banger. No, like, but then like I started discovering like some and things like that. But it's gotta be, for me, it's like that strong emotional like thing. Like, how do you get that out of yourself, and how do you get that? It's weird to get it out of people. Like, like
100%.
when somebody like comes up to you and is like, oh, your song like made me feel this and this, and I'm like, what the fuck? How? Like,
Damn, they don't even
I
make me feel that way. How'd that happen?
But yeah, it's I mean it's such a community thing. It's such a thing that people like love to have like songs that like bond them together with like musicians. That's where it's like the easiest way. That's why like this is I started this to get people like to get to know like the artists behind like songs and stuff, because a lot of times we have that connection just on a song that we listen to and it's like, fuck yeah, I love that song, like because it makes me feel this sort of way, blah blah blah. But like getting them to, again, I think that's why social media and like stuff like that has grown, because like it made artists more accessible to you.
Sure, yeah.
To where the fact we're like, before, you know, like that's why I mean, whether you like it or not, the idea of like a rock star is kind of like dead, because you can see into people's lives now. The only rock stars now are those people that are offline, like completely. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck they do, you know what I mean? But because everybody's like trying to be on social media and stuff, like it makes everybody from being like the rock star, the rock god, it brings you down to like, you're just a fucking person like writing cool shit.
Sucks.
There's no mystery anymore.
Yeah.
We gotta be more mysterious. I don't want to know who I am. Put me up here.
Yeah, we're getting completely
Blur out my
no
face.
social media.
Off grid.
Off grid.
Let's go, baby.
There you go. That's
Cameras off.
turn shit up.
Podcast is over.
Speaking of podcasts, so we've gone a little bit over halfway. Like, do you guys want to switch out?
We'll tag.
Tag team,
Okay,
boys.
we'll be back with the rest of fucking the Dark Divide. All right, we're back. We're back with the rest of the Dark Divide, and then now who's on the table? Who's on the seats?
We got Eric on bass.
AJ on drums.
For what man?
Multiple bands.
For every band. Actually, both of y'all are multiple bands.
Yeah,
You're talking to Session DFW here.
exactly. The hardest rhythm section in DFW.
What kind of hard?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is an episode 69. You can't be doing that here.
Not around here.
Not around here. Not around here. No, not in this climate. Okay. But yeah, it's okay. So now, like, AJ, you joined shortly after them two. Okay.
Yes.
And then you were talking. Were you you moved down from New York? You were saying.
I did.
Okay. How long ago
I'm
was
a
that?
fake Texan. Yeah.
I moved.
Yeah,
Sorry,
right.
there's gotcha journalism.
Yeah, exactly. I moved from New York, where I'm born, raised, 2016.
Okay.
2016. Yeah. And I played drums up there for a bunch of bands, and you know, I was like, when I moved down here, you know, for my big boy job, I was like, all right, I'm starting my new life here, and I was like, do I quit? Nah, I can't. I couldn't put it down, so I joined whatever was coming up, and one of them was Craig calling me like, hey, I got this thing, and I was like, sure, I'll try it, and now we're here. Now we're doing it.
Like, was it out of nowhere? Did you guys know each other before, or was it like
No. So he mentioned Facebook. Yeah, it was like that DFW fill-ins.
The group? Okay,
that group
gotcha.
on Facebook. I was poking around there, and I saw he posted something, and I was like, metalcore. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, let's do it. You know, hey, I'm a drummer. I used to play in a band called Rabbit Flesh Eaters, and I wanted to do something else, and so I found that post. And I was like, yeah, I'll try it out, and I loved it, and like you guys were talking about when we brought the synths into the mix, I was like, oh, this is different. Mm-hmm. This is just not, you know, because I was worried that it was just going to be like another run of the mill, you know, just metalcore, you know, which would have been totally fine. Love playing, you know, drums for that is insane and a ton of fun. But when I saw like, oh, this synth stuff and this cyber influence, I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. This is different. Yeah. And like, I'm super proud to be part of something like that. So yeah, I stuck with it from there and just, yeah. Now we're here.
It's like, and now we're here.
And now we are here.
What was your experience like when you joined the band?
So, like probably most musicians, I think Craig and I played some shows together a long time ago and have always stayed in contact. And so we've tried to do some projects here and there. And he called me up, is like, hey, like I got something like really, really good right now, like come out. So
I super promise. It's gonna be super great. Super great.
so yeah, jammed with AJ, and I've never played a style like this at all, so it was kind of a challenge for me to do something new and different, and it's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you? Do you think you were like looking for something different to differ, or just kind of like, hey, this is kind of exciting, I'll try it out for a second, and then ended up really liking
A
it?
little bit of both. I mean, as a bass player, I kind of gravitate towards like the groovy, funky, kind of jazzy,
Gotcha.
melodic stuff. And so it's been, hard to think of like, how do I play like 210 with blast beats and still have like an interesting bass part, so yeah, it's challenging technically, and Craig and I even play against slightly different tunings. He's in a drop B, I'm in a B standard, so like
Really?
stuff that
Okay.
that I don't have some of the same efficiencies, and so yeah, it's a complete challenge for me to.
Every one of us listens to completely different music.
I was getting like,
we did a trip we played New Orleans, was it last year?
Okay.
Yeah.
And Eric set up like this thing, like, I don't want to just listen to metal, like, and he put together, he's like, give me 3 songs from like high school, give me 3 songs from middle school, right? And we put together this whole playlist, and that's what we listened to on our way to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And we quickly realized that none of us listened to anything relatively similar. Really? Like,
All of our musical backgrounds are super, super different.
Mine's like death metal, like blast beats, super fast double bass.
Yeah.
Like that's where I grew up with that. In New York, it's a big death metal scene, and also a very big like East Coast hardcore scene up there. So I grew up in that. And then, Craig had like a lot of black metal in his influence, a lot of, what was it? You had a lot of techno, a lot of a lot of dance stuff. Rob, a lot of Nickelback. Not kidding.
Creed and Nickelback. There's no Nickelback slander here.
Exactly. And you with the more proggy stuff, and Torin with a lot of like synthcore stuff, and a lot of like emo, like the old school emo stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, how the fuck are we a band? Like, how is this actually working? Like, I actually like you guys. How?
But I think that makes it interesting.
That makes it,
It's the easiest way to make it interesting, because like literally everybody in the band has a different, completely different musical taste to bring into a project where you're trying to create something cohesive, but the little outlier like musical taste will make like it just interesting enough to change it. Because I'm a big believer with not listening to the same genre to write that genre, because that's you end up, I don't know, it ends up being less creative. But
exactly.
If you are listening to like whatever, because like one of the biggest examples, so the picture up here, you can't see it on camera, but it's my friend Ed. So he plays in like Ballista, and he plays in like Karama, these like crazy like hardcore bands. His favorite music is like he likes like Rosie Tucker, which is like a really like indie like artist. And then like, so all the stuff he listens to is super soft, but like the stuff he's playing is like wild, and then like you see like little influences and stuff like he writes here and there that comes out of it, which is really like cool. I'm like, oh, okay, you bring in something different to the genre, and that's kind of what makes you stand out. We were talking about that earlier about standing out. It's like one of the biggest things that bands and musicians are trying to do. Like, it's like, how do I want to write music, but how does someone stop and listen to my song versus like everybody else? I mean, one of the things with like streaming and everything was that like music just became incredibly accessible, so everybody is available to listen to like anything. So you have like the biggest power. It's like when people first like had like cable or satellite. It's like, oh, there's all these like fucking channels. Like, how do I decide which one? That's with music. It's like that times a fucking infinity. It's like, what am I gonna listen to? What am I stopping to listen to? So it's figuring out how to stand out. And I think diversity in like your musical influences is a gigantic like thing that you need to have. Like, that's super important. Which is cool. You have a lot like of differences between it, which seems to work. And
not that we don't like I love Nickelback. I love the black metal stuff. I love the
he said it. That's funny because that's the only thing you said.
The one screaming the most. Yeah, he loves Nickelback.
Exactly.
I also love Creed.
Like we see, I'm diverse. And so it's something where I'm like I'm totally willing to like not do a blast beat during this part, or not do super double bass, or chill out during certain things. It really helps out. And like I said, that's what got me like super interested in the band, was when we brought in Torin and brought in like this synth influence. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. There's something different here. There's something really different and interesting here. And that really, I think, brought a lot to the table, especially even just, I hope for other people, but at least for me, like an interest, like, oh yeah, hell yeah, this is awesome. This is super cool and different.
Which is, I mean, as simple as this is, like, you need to find your music interesting and actually like it, like to create a really cool band and create music, because like there's people in bands that I know that I'm like, oh, I don't like this or whatever, and then you can start to see it, like it starts to, or like it's a chore now, like to practice or to play a show and stuff like that, and you want to, at the core, the simplest thing is like, you should think that your music is fucking awesome.
Like, I don't know where it was. I think it was like, I don't know, like a YouTube video I was watching or something on Instagram, but they were like, who do you write music for? Do you write music for other people to enjoy? Because obviously you do, right? And the guy was like, no, I write music that I like. And then when you do that, you're passionate about, your product. You write music for you, and then, other people will end up liking it because you're very passionate about it. You love that, you love your music, and then when you put it out there, it's like, oh, okay. It's not like you're forcing yourself to write a certain way, or you're forcing yourself to play a certain way or write a certain style of music, because if you do that, you're either not gonna like it or not gonna do a good job of it.
Yeah, because you're not gonna put in the effort that you would if you were passionate about something.
Exactly.
It's just simple, like enough, like, and being as true to yourself and as genuine as you can with whatever music that you want to write. It comes through in like performance, comes through in the writing of the music, and because there is a fucking genre for every fucking thing. So there's somebody out there. There was a group. Dude. Somebody out there is gonna fucking like this. Yeah. Like, you just have to, again, work on it the way you want to work on it, and enjoy it and have fun with it. And then at the end of the day, if all you have is like, hey, I actually like what I make, that's fucking cool.
Good.
Like, good. If you're, because you see all these people that like write music that people love, and they're like, oh, I actually don't like this and don't like playing it, and I'm like, oh, then you don't get to see them. They don't like playing it live anymore, or whatever like happens to this, or they don't like that project at all, and then they realize like, oh, like I've been writing shit for other people instead of like myself. So it's a weird balance, because like obviously like you do want to be successful like in a band, but I think just sticking to your guns and just being very like just determined.
It makes it more enjoyable. It makes it way more enjoyable. I'll program or work on drums in the studio or whatever, and if I have to force myself to do it, like I either take way too long, or I don't put out something that I'm super. I just like get it done real quick, like especially if I'm programming, like, and done. All right, whatever. Here you go, and it's just a simple beat, and it's not interesting or cool or anything like that. And that's. Whenever I work on Dark Divide stuff, if I'm programming at home or working on it in the studio, like, it's probably as soon as the song's written, like, I immediately go, because I'm super happy to like go do it and go work on it and like get it done. So
you since writing with so many like people that have like a giant difference in musical backgrounds, is there a little bit of like back and forth a lot, or like some infighting a little bit sometimes with like music, with writing, or does it kind of flow for the most part?
I think it flows for the most part. I mean, if there's changes, they're very minor, and most of us are like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, it's so. Yeah. I think that everything we kind of like, Craig kind of gets a large core of the songs that we're working on, and then they might be like, hey, let's carve out a little section here for synth. Or Torn might write something and say like, hey, that's an incredible part. Let's make a little bit more space for that. Or we got an idea here for whatever. Yeah. But changing the core stuff, I think rarely ever happens. Yeah.
That's honest. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good, because that's usually like the only like my biggest concern when it's like with musical differences, backgrounds and stuff, is that everybody's trying to, and when we have a lot of writers, so I think so. Craig, you form a lot of like the base for it. Yep. But there's a lot of sometimes we're like, oh no, this idea where you're trying to figure out. But I think you guys like develop early on, like the type of sound that you were kind of looking for. So there's like, not to say you can't work outside of it, but there is a giant space for you to work around, and you kind of know. So I think y'all have like molded into like, oh, okay, we can work around this space, and if we need to break out and make the space bigger, we can.
Exactly.
Which is always like the cool, because I'm always like interested in how people decide what kind of music that they're gonna write. And that was so, and it's a problem that I've dealt with before, where like everybody wanted to write everything different, which was fun. Yeah. It's just like every which song could be completely different than the other one, and I'm just
watch the creative differences.
Yeah,
you know,
and it would cause a lot of like, but I think that's what when we were also talking about like ego, it's like when you take that part out of yourself, then you're like, oh, okay, you're more open to hearing all these ideas anyways, you know. That's why it's like, oh, if you want to change something, it's like, yeah, that's cool, or isn't that, because no one's really like, oh, like my part's the only part that needs to kind of work. You were talking about like, so coming from a more progressive background, and you mentioned a little bit of like the time signatures. Do you have like a jazz background or something? Or?
I did like dabble in jazz a little bit, like, so I played musical instruments in high school, did orchestra, did band, did jazz band. Did some like jazz workshops in summers and that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Was bass primarily like the instrument that you? Yeah. Nice. That's fucking cool. I've come to appreciate bass a lot more like the older I've gotten, because earlier, I mean, I always bring this up, but I was a big fucking hater like when I was a fucking kid, so it's one of those little shits. But with bass, because I was like, oh yeah, bass is like kind of in the background, like you don't need it, and then like I would see shows and I'm like, so I'd be the type where I'm like, oh, I don't even like notice it or whatever. And then when it was fucking gone, I'm like, oh shit, this thing sounds empty as fuck, like right now. Like, I was like, holy crap. And then that was just like bass at its base level. And then I started seeing like, like math rock bands and like stuff like that, where like the bass was just fucking going off and things like, I'm like, fuck, dude, like the bass is fucking sick. Like,
it is a cool instrument.
It's a whole ass instrument, and it's like it's a very intricate instrument. It's just as intricate as you can have like a guitar part or something like that, and you can have like all these really cool parts and nuanced parts.
Intricate.
I would argue.
Oh shit! Here we go. We're just going about, which I mean, maybe like I don't know. Like I grew up playing like guitar, but I play like classical guitar when I was like learning it. So that's the background. I try to translate that into like electric and try to do metal, but I just couldn't get it or whatever. But that's kind of how I see a lot of the bass parts. I like when and even when they're not like super crazy or anything like that, like it still like holds its own so well. And like the drums in like you're right, like the rhythm section you were talking about, like it's what holds the fucking song together. Like it ain't shit like
the hardest rhythm section, like, DFW.
Just keep fucking saying
it. We always joke about that and whatever. You mentioned our first show, and I remember distinctly, like the first show was the first time I ever played live with these guys. Like we've been in practices or whatever, right? You sit in a room, all right, cool, you did good. All right, I think we're ready, right? And then you go, and then we get on stage, and all the bands I've played with, even in New York, like people have had pretty good stage presence, except for the bass player. This guy is an animal on stage. I've never seen a more like, and like I think we even talk about like you're there to put on a show, right? So like I stick my tongue out, I go bananas, right? I look like an absolute moron on stage.
I did see that, like the music video. Like there's a lot of like there's a lot of face. There's like, his tongue is out the entire time.
Exactly. There's a lot of goofy faces, tongue out, everything. And this guy is right there with me, and I love every second of it. So it's not just like the awesome playing, but it's like the stage presence on top of it. Instead of being, the guy that literally just stands in the back and just plays. Yeah. No, like Eric's got a good stage presence and puts on a show.
I mean, you talk about like social media and writing for you, and that's just how I see it. Is like I'm here to have a good time. Yeah. Even doing something like this, like I'm with my friends. We're having a good time. There's probably no few places I'd rather be than here right now.
Just playing stage. Yep.
And so it's like when you're on stage, it's about like, hey, I'm here for me. Like, this is my therapy.
So that chemistry shows so much, and like in seeing so many like live performance things like that. Like I've realized how important that is to me, to like loving a band, is that that stage presence, that stage chemistry, it's like whatever like the performance calls for, but if you look like you're having fun up there, like I'm most likely like going to have fun. Even if like whatever the music is not like my like preferred like music shit, if like you're fucking like going at it and having a good time, like I am definitely gonna catch that energy, and it just fucking bounces back and forth. And it's one of the biggest, because I've seen like some bands that like on recordings and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, I really love them, and then like I'll watch them live, and I'm like, their energy is so low, like, and then it's got me like singing these songs that I'm like I really love, but like I don't even think that dude wants to sing them like right now, you know, like
it's the same. We've been joking about me playing in a lot of bands and you know, like with Instinct and Dispo, who I've been filling in for, it's them and the Dark Divide, and I've played in other bands where I can tell like a big disconnect between the energy that like those bands put out like on stage and how much fun I have playing with those bands versus like some other bands I've played with where it's just like, come on, guys! Like,
call them out right now. Look at the camera.
Yeah. Turn these cameras. Turn these cameras. It's the same thing. Like, you can tell, like, crowd reaction. Even, you know, if you're having fun with your buddies on stage, like, they're gonna have fun too. And if you're not, it don't matter how good the music is. It's, you know, people are gonna catch on to that, like you said.
Well, it just goes beyond like the stage and just writing music. Like, you actually have to enjoy the people that are in your band. Like, if you're not, again, like if you're not like friends, or like these people aren't your like closest friends, like it's really hard to capture that chemistry again, because you can write music, but you're basically just coming on to like perform together, and you have to do it. But there's trust that goes into it. You know, to make sure not only on top of like everybody should be able to play their parts or whatever like that, but again, just trust that like you're gonna have fun with them on stage, that you can, like, whatever the energy is gonna be there, like, and you don't have to feel like you're carrying it all, or like or you're the only one, like it's like I'm the only one, like, you know, doing something. That's one thing, like I mean with bands, it's just become more important, like with what I've seen. And I think it takes a little learning, like, to get there. Early on, like, I was always super like very over analyzing like the performance, like immediately, like during the performance, and like after, I was like, oh, we messed up here, like I feel like shit. So people would come up to me, and I'd be in a bad mood because I'm like, I know we messed up. And it got to the point where I'm like, I go, yes, I need to hold myself accountable for like whatever mistakes but dude, like, if I just have fun and those same mistakes happen, I go, first of all, nobody out there like knows what the fuck, like, I fucked up. Like, that's the biggest thing that I was like, because then I had people that were coming up that I just saw a performance. I'm like, oh, I fucking love the fuck out of that performance, and they're like, oh, we messed up here and there. I was like, I don't fucking know. Like, you know, if you wouldn't tell me, and it kind of got that. I told him, I was like, if you wouldn't have told me, I wouldn't know shit, and I had to like hear those words back to me. I'm like, oh, nobody knows. Like, as long as if I'm
occasionally they do.
Occasionally, depends on how hard the fuck up is.
I've been
there's some, but like you got to play through it. Like, I remember like early on, we would like mess up, and like somebody would get frustrated in the band and was like, oh, just start over. I'm like, we can't fucking
don't
stop.
Do that.
No.
And we did it, and I'm just like, that's the worst decision of all fucking, because if they didn't notice, now for sure they know we fucked up.
Yeah, they know. Yeah.
At that point, it's a skip track. You got to go to the next one. You're not starting the song.
It's like, sorry, we're not doing this one.
We're putting this thing on shuffle now.
But it got to the point where I'm just like, fuck it, dude. I'm just going out there, and we're just gonna fucking have a good time. And it reflects. Then like you get more like positive feedback with people, and then like again you get more like nice interactions with people, which is like the connections that you want to make, like out there in song. Just like literally, just like, let's fucking have fun. Like, that's the point of this. You know, the point of having a band and playing, at the root of it, is to like have fun playing music.
It sure is about making money, because
fuck. It is not if you're writing music for you. Like, if you're writing music for yourself, then you gotta be okay with it.
You gotta be okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. But it's cool, and obviously, like with y'all, like I can definitely tell that y'all are up there like having a fun time. Like I said, from the first like time that I saw you, the first performance was live, and I fucking loved it, because I'm like, dude, y'all are fucking killing it. Y'all are like literally like look like you're having a great time, and then the music is really fucking cool. Like literally, like for me, I'm like, oh, it's got all the elements that I need to have like a really good band. You know what I mean? Like, the music's cool, like the performance is great, and they look like they're having a great time. And now like I know that y'all are like really good friends, and you fucking get along, which is even like better. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just right here in front of the camera.
Exactly.
I don't know if y'all fight.
We go out
there's a reason.
fuck you guys. See you.
There's a reason why one of us isn't here.
Damn, you called out.
I love you, Tori.
Turn these cameras off.
Oh fuck, man. Well, I honestly like. Do you guys have anything coming up for us? You were saying that
we have a show. Yep, we have a show in Abilene coming up this weekend. We just got off the Dark Delaware tour. With us and Third and Delaware, and we had a ton of fun doing that. I hope to do something like that again. We got a couple songs coming out and a video coming out real soon. That will be filming the end of this month. 22nd, I think, is the shot date for one of the songs off the record, the Variant EP. So yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Nice. Well, I appreciate y'all stopping by. I really, really do. And dude, yeah, anything, whenever you're putting out songs, send them our way. We'll try to promote as much as we can here back and forth.
Hell yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear these fucking new songs and everything y'all have like working on, to be honest with you. Even every other band that you have to. But today we ain't talking about them, all right? I'm about the Dark Divide. I appreciate y'all coming back. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This has been episode 67 with the Dark Divide. We'll see you guys next time.
Sounds and breakdowns.